Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We have a fantastic guest tonight with Peter Anthony. I'm Mike Ricksecker, author and ghost story, and with me as always is Vanessa, my co-host. And down there in the chat room is our chat Shananigator, Shana, who will be shaking up the chat. So, Vanessa, I am really looking forward to our guest. We were kind of having some really nice banter back and forth before we went live. So this is going to be a great episode.
Character.
Oh yeah. So this is going to be a great episode. We have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of first, and that is, and Vanessa, I told you a little while ago, I told Shana earlier as well, we now have tank tops for Haunted Road Media.
I know.
So
that's just nutty.
Yep, I posted the links earlier today on social media. If you're not on those platforms like Facebook and Twitter and all that, you can just go to shop.spreadshirt.com/Haunted Road Media, or you can just go to hauntedroadmedia.com and you'll find all the links in there. And yeah, so we have tank tops now for Haunted Road Media.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Haunted Road Media helping you get your sexy back.
And right now this week, there's a 15% discount for t-shirts and tank tops. So go check it out. Just use the promo code is Sunny15. So that is get ready for summer. All right.
Sorry.
So unless you have anything, Vanessa, we can go ahead and introduce our guest.
No, it doesn't need to be about me. Let's go ahead and get to him.
All right. So, we have Peter Anthony on tonight. Really fantastic guy. Just talking with him for 5 minutes before the show. But he's had a near-death experience a number of years ago, and from that, he has really become in tune with numerology. He's an author as well. He's been on a number of shows, including Sightings. And Peter, I just want to bring you right in, and maybe you can just tell us a little bit about everything you've been up to.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on book tour right now with my book called Keymaster. I have another 22 cities to go, so I'm all up and down the West Coast, and then I'm going into the South, and then I'm going into the Hawaiian Islands all throughout Oahu, Kauai, and Maui, and hopefully by the time I get to the Big Island, the volcano will be dormant, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. And then I'm going into deep South in Mississippi and Tennessee and the Carolinas. And I'm going to end up finishing my book tour right at the midterm elections. So this is going to be quite fascinating.
Yeah, that's a pretty good-sized book tour.
Well, this is my second book tour on Keymaster, so I'm very grateful, you guys. The book was turned down 9 years. No one wanted to hear about my near-death experience or my numerology and how I basically correlated the two together, and how I became a paranormal investigator because of my numerology gift from the other side. Right. So
and you're also a psychic detective.
Yes, yeah. I've worked on homicide cases, and I also helped families find their lost dogs and cats, and so yeah, I've done it all.
Fantastic. So yeah, for a little bit of background, you wanted to tell us about the near-death experience, because I know we're all curious about what happened, and then that's kind of spurred on your life and what you're doing right now.
Well, yeah, at the time I was working for CBS as a freelance image consultant for the news division, and my main goal at the time in the late 80s was to become a special effects makeup artist. And so I was interested in, the Stan Winstons, that kind of movie, magic, the Leviathans and the Terminators and the Alien franchises were hot back in the back in the 80s. So that was my CBS was my gift into the union. Well, in the middle of my career, I had a near-death experience at CBS, and I had been diagnosed or misdiagnosed 6 months before I clinically passed on, and I let something very simple go. Busy, didn't have time for the doctors. I've never been one for doctors. That's just been a part of my history. I don't like the whole medical industry for reasons we can talk about another time. But anyway, so in that, I clinically passed on November the 11th at 11:11 p.m. in cubicle 11. So for those of you who are fascinated with 11:11, I died on November the 11th at 11:11 in room 11.
Wow.
So yeah, I know. So and I think crossing over for me, I mean, my book Keymaster goes into great detail about not only obviously going through the tunnel and the white light, but I also during my first transition of this tunnel I saw all these mathematical codes: 222, 333, 444, 1111, 777, 999, in a series of zeros: 01.000, point 00, point 00, point 0.0.111 on the way down the line. So it was a series of 4 zeros, 3 zeros, 2 zeros, 1 zero, and then it went into the ones and then back to the zeros. Had no idea what I was seeing. At the time when I crossed over, I downloaded all this information and it made sense. And I tell people in my book to imagine the mind of Tesla and Einstein and your college professor, your English teacher. All this information was being downloaded in my mind. Now, when I say my mind, I wasn't in physical form. I guess I was in spirit form as I was going, because I couldn't see my physical body, but yet the eye of a camera was taking me through this tunnel. So I was able to digest all, not only these numbers, but also what I call the collective intelligence. Fast forward to the punch. When I came back, I used to stutter. And so when I came back, I no longer stuttered. And I came back with the ability of just seeing spirits. And while I was recovering, I was unconscious for 3.5 weeks. And when I woke up, I came back and I was a talker. I could not shut up. So I just talked and talked and talked and talked. And of course, no one believed me. So anyway, so I began this journey of reading and understanding and trying to understand what was going on, why I saw the numbers, and they started reoccurring in my life, especially the 1111. That was the first series of numbers, and the 111. Had no idea what these numbers were. And in numerology books back in the late 80s and 90s, there were no what I call the triple codes. There were no ARC codes at that time. It wasn't until September the 11th, 911, that consciousness began to tap into these triple codes. So there's a little background of my near-death experience.
Wow, fantastic. Do have to throw out there, hang on just a second, Vanessa, sorry, and then I'll let you go ahead and ask the question. $10 super chat from Tom McNicholas, so we need to acknowledge him, super chat, superstar. And we did have one before the show from BD Flint. She has a migraine and is not going to be able to join us tonight. And then there's a $20 super chat from Andrew Cox. So I need to read off what these guys are saying. So Tom was saying, nice, Peter is still with us and helping others. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. It's very true.
Yeah. And then Andrew, we are a special family here, brought together through Para-Unity in our paranormal lives. So thank you very much, Andrew. So, all right, Vanessa, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so what I'm fascinated by is the sequence of the zeros and the ones, because that's code. And I mean, you know that.
Yes, it is code.
Have you found a particular algorithm to the numerical sequences that you were getting? I mean, how have you been able to put that together to kind of figure out exactly how you should follow this particular path? Because it's for a reason, and there's a very specific destination that's meant for you.
Well, obviously, again, not knowing much of numerology books. While I was in the hospital, while I was unconscious, I had a girlfriend of mine who was coming in ICU, was reading me numerology books. She happened to be a numerologist. And while I was unconscious, I was apparently digesting all the information. She'd say, one is ruled by Aries, and it's about the Daniel Boone and the Explorer, and it's about me, myself, and I. And I was getting all this while I was, I guess, in the hospital, but not coherent. And when I came to, the first thing I asked was numerology books. I need to know. And I, again, back to the zeros and the ones. For me, it took many, many years. In fact, it was the last year and a half, 2 years that I began to understand the series of ones and the series of zeros. The zero is a God consciousness. It is ruled by infinity. It is the number that relates to humanity. It's also, if you really understand the 00, it's 2 zeros side by side. It's also the number of karma. 8, when we think of the number 8, it's 2 zeros on top of each other. But if you understand the ancient 8, it's 2 zeros side by side, as above, so below, earth and heaven. So I began to tap into this thing called, I guess, talking to God. And every time I see these zeros, I stop what I'm doing I pay attention. Where am I? Where am I at the moment? What am I thinking? What message is coming through to me? I pay attention to that. And the other thing too, you guys who are kind of not only in the paranormal world of ghosts and spirits, but this is also the Anunnaki number and also the Palladian number, and it's also the alien vibrational number frequency. So I'm going to talk about this number quite a bit in my next book called The Accidental Prophet. But for me, I think, and any of you who are seeing this triple codes, zero in particular, you stop and pay attention to what's going on in your life. I was driving by the Toyota dealership a couple of weeks ago, and I stopped at a light and looked up and 000 financing. Big old huge zeros in front of me. I stopped at that moment, and I was in this thing called conflict. I had some series of hate emails coming in from the South as I'm going into the South to speak about human rights and about the spirit world, and I was getting all this hate email and threats on my life. So I thought, well, maybe I need to cancel this particular city. And this voice said, no. I looked up, and there are those zeros. So for me, my world of 000, it's a God, Christ consciousness, an avatar consciousness, of the Hopi consciousness. That's how I tap into it.
But that makes perfect sense. And I have to say, and just real quick, Mike, and then I'm going to back off for a second.
You're good.
I was contacted this morning by a dear friend of mine in England. I went and stayed with her before. And she contacted me because she was afraid to contact anyone else because they would make fun of her or say something mean. She says, Vanessa, I keep seeing the numbers 666 in succession. Is there something wrong? Do I need to be afraid? And I'm like, no, love, it's a message. It's not a warning. It's a message. And you need to figure out why you're getting this message. And I went and researched it for her so I could send back the proper information. And what it was, it didn't have anything to do with evilness, didn't have anything to do with the devil or anything like that. It was follow your thoughts, see what is dominating your mind, and the best way that you can change your path to avoid conflict.
Also, the 666. 666 is the number. Yeah, thank you. Boom. 666 also is a number. We're not here for the material world, though we certainly are leaning towards that. But it's how are you and your friend, how are you living your life at this moment in time? Are you contributing? Are you helping the homeless? Are you helping the poor animal kingdom? What about the children that are, being caged up? It's time for us to shift this consciousness whenever I see the 666. And it reminds me of what is my purpose in life? And so when I see that, I immediately go, it's not about my job. It's not about the relationship. It's not about money, or an example like going into this book tour and receiving all this hate email. It's about being of service to mankind. And so the 666 and the 999 are basically the same number in numerology. It just, one is about service to the planet, and one is about all of us coming together for the service of the planet.
Bingo. Exactly. But the majority, and do you find it fascinating that the majority of the people, if you were to bring up those three numbers especially, the very first thing they go to is something evil.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't want to look below the surface.
Well, you have to understand, and I don't mean to irritate people here, the Christians here, but here goes.
No Go for it.
Okay. So we go back into the Nicaea Council in the 400, and we look at the Pope at the time, who changed the theory of reincarnation. And mankind at the time, like they are today, was getting out of hand. So this whole theory of reincarnation was dismissed, and the Enoch, all these fascinating biblical passages were edited out. So the truth, edited, became the lie, became the truth. So we've been operating on what I call false information for century after century after century. So when we go back to the 666, anything, there's a positive and a negative. I mean, do I believe that there is a negative force on this planet? Well, as a paranormal investigator, I've seen some pretty dark things. But I also understand there's light. And I think our job here as investigators is to show the light. And those who want to stay in the dark, well, they can stay in the dark. But it is our job, our duty, our responsibility as lightened individuals to go towards the light. And when you have a near-death experience, the first thing that happens to you is you go through the tunnel of light. The spirit world, the same thing. They're not trapped spirits as much as an energy form that is here on this planet, and it's a change of energy. And we're all composed of energy. When I think of what our bodies are composed of, you think of the atoms and the molecules, when you think of, as stardust people on this planet. Our whole universe is based on hydrogen and carbon and nitrogen and oxygen and sulfur and phosphorus. So you add all these things together, it is our job to educate ourselves on what this matter is. And spirit is nothing more than energy. And once an energy has been recorded on land, that energy stays there, and someone like yourself, Vanessa, or myself comes there, and because we are hypersensitive or empathist, we are able to pick up on this information. Bingo.
True.
Well, yeah, and we've mentioned on the show a number of times and in a number of our investigation videos that these spirits that we're interacting with, they're just people. And
yes,
you have all these other, I don't know, just the Bible beaters that are out there, for lack of a better term, that are trying to tell us, no, everything's a demon and all this crazy stuff. And then we have on the flip side of that, others that are in the paranormal field that are they're just disrespectful and not treating them as they are, people, and just treating them like
experts.
Guinea pigs.
Yeah. You have a forensic, specialists here. You have scientists. I've worked with all these amazing people. Now, you must understand, when I first went into my first homicide case, my first paranormal case, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew spirit, and
Yeah.
I knew they spoke to me, and why they spoke to me, I don't know. They still do. So, what I do when I work on a show, or when I work on a case, or I work on a homicide case or a forgotten murder case, I don't know how you work, Vanessa, but how I work, it's like, just imagine you're at a movie and we have a split screen reality here. You have what I see, and in other words, when I worked on a concentration camp, a World War II concentration camp in Manzanar, California, I had to go back into the 1942, 43, 44 era. Okay, so that was past. And on my right over here, I had a segment producer, the researcher. I also had a guard who actually was there at the concentration camp, or the internment camp, and so I'm talking to spirit on left side, filming on the right side, and communicating with the director and the camera guy, and over here talking to the spirits. So I have two worlds simultaneously happening, and I'm having to, be coherent in one world and be coherent in the next world.
And it's not easy.
No,
and
it's not.
That's what kills me, is what they show on TV is this uber easy, dialogue happening, and that it all looks perfect. And in fact of the matter, it's not. I was explaining about a reading I did a couple of weeks ago on the show last week, where the information that Spirit was giving me was actually a joke. They were joking with me, and that was the information that they gave me to give to the living person.
Right.
And that was what confirmed who I was speaking with, because there is no way in hell I would have had any idea that this person loved to do potty jokes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah.
But you just never know. Now, I have to ask you this, though, because you're talking about the different time zones. It's weird when I see something in a particular time zone, I will actually see them walking and talking and everything else, and they're communicating with me, but they look like they came from that time frame in a still shot, like sepia film.
Yeah, I see sepia tones as well.
Is that not the strangest thing?
Well, and I that's how I know it's real.
Yeah.
Because when I'm seeing a sepia tone image, and I'm seeing an example, I was working on a case not too long ago with the Catholic Church downtown Los Angeles, and the police station next to it and the Catholic Church were both haunted. And anyway, long story made short, the celebrity host of this program, whose name I will not mention, rather difficult to work with, was very disrespectful for the entire that was there. And I'm sitting here watching this nun in this church and this priest from the early 1900s, and apparently this child who had died there in this church, and the host and all the production crew laughing and carrying on at 12 noon. Now, I don't know about you, when I work on a case, and I've told them, guys, that's not film at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Ghosts come out predominantly at nighttime. Now, I can go into this whole theory of why, but I think you might relate to this, Mike. It has a lot to do with the REM cycle. When you think of the alpha, the beta, the theta, and the delta, consciousness, and when we're going into deep sleep, that REM cycle sleep at nighttime, psychics do it all the time. We get so used to reading them, we go into the state very quickly. being hypersensitive. When my client shows up in the room, as soon as I touch their hand, I'm on. I'm reading. I'm seeing images. I'm getting images. I'm picking up information, mental information, hidden communication. So for me, as I said, when I go into this, how do you explain the world that I'm in? Psychics stay in this world of REM cycle constantly, and that's why we need so much downtime.
Right.
Yeah, downtime is a must. I mean, I get to the point sometimes where I'm like, just get the fuck away from me. Okay, everybody, just get the fuck away from me, because I am gonna throat punch you.
Yeah.
If you don't get out of my way. And I that's my home, is my solitary place when my son isn't here, and I will block everything out.
Yeah, I do the same. I have to chill down. But I also know when I'm working on a legitimate case, because they show up the night before. Usually at 3 o'clock, 3:15, right on the dot, or 3:13, over and over and over. And then for me, once I've worked on a case, sometimes these spirits follow me. And I have some of the weirdest things that go on in my condo. I'm having something go on right now that I'm working on my second book, and early in the morning I'll be typing away and I hear these Tibetan chimes, and I'll run into my living room and I hear them and they stop, and then I look around, and being a guide, now guys, we are about who is it, what's going on, why is it happening, how long is it going to be, that whole logical explanation I need to know. And what's happening here, as I'm trying to figure out, is it the microwave, is it the stove, is it my cell phone, blah, 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 all these things, I hear these bells again in my bedroom. So I run there, and it's just a constant thing. So I thought, Peter, stop chasing and just go within and find out what's going on here. And I found out that the people that lived here before had passed on. And so me living here didn't even connect to that when I first moved in. So now they're here and they're talking to me. And for some reason, I can't figure out why, the Tibetan chimes, but it's the most amazing sound.
I can tell you.
What is it? Please, I have to know.
Because they're talking to me now while you're explaining the situation. They said that it's to clear your energy, because at that particular moment when you were writing, there were other forces that were involved that were actually almost causing a writer's block with you.
Yes.
It was a particular point. Okay, I've got it. It was a particular point where you were having difficulty in explaining a certain situation and how you were writing.
Yes.
And clearing and ringing of the bells is a way to clear energy, and to clear especially any type of negative, destructive, or interfering energy in your area. And Tibetan monks use that. It's not very well known, but they use that. And that is, if you've ever had a past life regression, you're going to find that you have actually had experience with that in your past, with following and studying under Tibetan monks. And that is one of the reasons why it's those sounds that are used to clear that negative energy, so that you can do the work that you're supposed to do.
Now, how fascinating, because what would thank you. I'm sending a check in the mail to Vanessa. So, so it was so weird, because I'd hear this run out, and then I'd come back, get on a computer, and bam, 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 got it. Thank you. Here I am, again, being the guy. What are they saying? How long is it going to be before they come back? Why are they talking to me this way? Why don't they just, give me a sign or an image? And the obvious, I mean, I'm very aware of Tibetan bells and what they do, and also, how I clear energy out. When I go into a sighting, I have my own little chime that I use. When I finish a case, I chime and clear out the energy. Duh. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're all learning.
Grin.
Hey, we have a question here from the chat room. This is from Tom McNicholas. And he wants to know, Peter, when you died, did you feel like you had a choice to stay and come back? Was that a choice for you?
I was given a choice after I had my life review, and and it's quite extensive. I can't go into it tonight because this whole near-death experience. I went to a place called Bordeaux. Bordeaux, for those who are Catholic, limbo, purgatory. I went to a place called Bordeaux, and this is the cleansing station, and I was shown where our planet was going. In other words, the future of this planet. And I was given a choice. I saw the negative, and I also saw the positive, and I saw where my life was going. And so the voice said to me, do you want to go back? And I chose, I did. I said yes. I was given a choice. Now, everyone listen to this. This is very important. All of us are given a choice in life. The choice tonight to listen to this show. If you don't like the show, you click it off. You know, the choice to go to work tomorrow or not go to work, the choice to stay in a rotten relationship or the choice to get married. Everything is based upon a choice. And what I learned on the other side, everything in my life has to do with my thought. And that's why I tapped into the tunnel of what I call the collective intelligence. And I was downloading information. So what I have done when I have come back, every day for me, my choice is I get up, because you have to understand, I was given 3 months to live. I lost my eyesight, and I was in a wheelchair. And so when I get up every morning, I do a gratitude walk, and I'm very grateful that I can see. I'm very grateful that I can walk. I can't run anymore, but it makes no difference. I'm able to walk. And so for me, my choice to do something that is positive to change the energy in my system, and when I'm changing or redirecting the negativity of whatever I've gone through the night before, an example like these emails and in the southern states, it helps me to shift. And then when I'm in a place of peace, then I start receiving information. And when we're at peace, not in conflict, that's when the information comes. So for me, every day is about a choice. So my choice to come back, yes, I was given a choice. And who was it? I believe, and I was agnostic before I went into this whole clinically passing on. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in Jesus. I didn't believe in any of that stuff. I believe you live, you die, you make money, you get a family, you get a house, build a fence, a dog, boom, end of story. So for me, my world was changed completely. And so the choice, I came back to leave CBS, the news division, and to become a paranormal investigator, 2 different worlds. Yeah. And then, of course, to write a book and to travel and to go. I mean, you know, everything is about a choice, you guys. So make sure that you're at peace when you're making what I call life-changing moments that really matter.
So you've mentioned,
so right.
Yeah, definitely. So you've mentioned, okay, not believing God, Jesus, what have you. Before that happened, you've mentioned the collective intelligence.
The collective intelligence.
Yeah. So you kind of want to define that a little bit for us, where your thoughts are on this, since you've breached that other side.
Well, the collective intelligence, that's used. I'm just randomly thinking here. There was a girl on America's I can't remember the show with Simon. Europe's Got Talent, or someone's got
American Idol.
No, close to the one that Simon Coyle is doing over in London.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah, whatever. So there was this girl that came on the show, and she was shy and she was introverted, and all of a sudden she was channeling Janis Joplin and did an amazing job, and she went off to the finals, and it's just very current news. I was blown away by this. But I go back to, first of all, I believe in past lives. I saw my past lives when I crossed over. The collective intelligence is when we go to sleep at nighttime, depending on where you are in your day and where you are in your relationship and where you are with money and where you are with your career and where you are with happiness and where you are with conflict, we are downloading every night. And when we are downloading every night, somewhere between 1:11 to 5:55 in the morning, we're going through the deepest, what I call the cleansing of consciousness. And I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had these dreams where it just seems so real and you're in another place, another village, or another,
all the time.
Yep.
Time traveling. There is. So what's happening here? So for me, if we're in a place of happiness and peace, and you're tapping into, as a writer, I sat down and I've never written a book. And so I was doing some prayers. I was doing my gratitude. As you said, I was clearing out my energy. And the next thing you know, I'm writing. You're tapping into collective intelligence. Sting spoke about it. Lionel Richie talks about it. Elton John talks about it. Some of our greatest composers talked about it. Edison talked about it. Tesla talked about it. Sitting down and just quieting the mind, getting rid of all the debris, all the chatter, all what I call the committee in your head, and really tapping into that, what I call the genius of the planet. Because nothing is new. It's all repeat. If you think of every civilization, rise and fall, it's the same information. It's just us at this particular time in life. What do we choose to do with this information? And I don't know about you, but I want to do something great with it. So I'm shifting consciousness. Yeah.
Have you ever studied Edgar Cayce?
My book and my lecture was just inducted into the Edgar Cayce last year.
Nice. Congratulations.
No way!
Yeah. So that was, for me, 9 years of rejection, 9 years of horrible, nasty rejection letters from the lit agents and the publishers. For me, when that happened last year, I was like, yes, you know,
Yeah, you done
bada
good,
boom,
kid.
bada
That's
bing. Yeah,
awesome.
I love Edgar Casey.
Oh,
Yeah,
big time. And
yeah.
I mean, for the collective intelligence that you speak of, for those that don't recognize it under those terms, it's something extremely similar, if not the same thing as the Akashic Records. Would you agree?
It is the Akashic Records. It's exactly what it is. So when you're doing a client, I do Akashic readings. So when I'm doing a reading for someone, and I'm doing a numerology, I'm not just doing basic numerology 1 through 9. I'm actually tapping into a person's personal chart, an ancient mathematical code that I've learned on the other side. I do the compound numbers, I do the karmic numbers, I do the destiny numbers, and I do the master numbers. That's how I do my numerology readings, not 1 through 9.
Okay, I'm going to have to buy one of those from you.
Well, let me ask
I
you,
have to do it.
since you're diving back into the numerology a little bit here, so and I have a couple other questions from the chat. But, okay, so numbers, like different numbers tend to follow different people or tend to show up in their lives. So Shana mentioned in the chat a little earlier that 4 is one that always comes up for her a lot. For me, it's the numbers 10 and 21. So how do those different numbers relate to people? Is this something with their vibration, or what's going on there?
We all are composed of electricity. We are electrical beings, right? Mm-hmm. And numbers are nothing but energy. And so for me, math is nothing more than an energetic vibration. And with that, I look at an example. You talk about the number 10. Well, 10, and what was the other number you said? 3?
21.
21. Okay, yeah. 2 and 1 is 3. That's how I come up.
Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So 10 in numerology is the other side. Information from the collective intelligence. 1010, 1010. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. 1 0 1 0. That's just a part of the equation. And if you were to stop and start taking what I call a running dialogue of the numbers that are coming in your life all the time, you're going to start seeing those other numbers that are coming in. But you take the life path number.
Yeah, let me throw something out at you. I was born on 7/21, so 7 + 1 + 2 = 10.
Wow. Yeah. So 10, it also is the 10 is the number of the disciple. It's also the number of the angel. When I see a number 10, I'm like, okay, the angels are speaking to me now. What do I need to listen to? And you ask them what information. You don't sit there and it's going to show up. In order to communicate with the angels, you have to ask them to come into your life. Unlike ghosts, they show up. Angels, you have to ask them to come into your life. Okay. So when you're seeing the number 10, what is it that you want me to see? What is it you want me to write about? What is the message? You start asking questions, and all of a sudden you're going to start seeing 10, 10, 10, or 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. If you start seeing 0, 0, 0, you need to stop what you're doing, pay attention, and where are you in thought at that moment? And look around, too. If you happen to be at 333 Gary Street, and it's 4:44 in the afternoon, and you're seeing 0, 0, 0 at the Toyota dealership, you're being spoken to. They're communicating with you. What happens? The phone rings. The girlfriend comes in, we get sidetracked, and we're in that moment. So I constantly live in a world of psychic, intuitive ability 24/7. I'm always aware when I go out, where I go to the gym, if I'm taking a walk, and wherever I'm at, I'm constantly in the psychic mode. Because what I'm doing, I'm tapping into people's energies. And you never know when you're going to have an encounter with the ghost, with an angel, or a walk-in.
Now, you mentioned 000 in reference to yourself earlier, but with what you just said, it sounds like that's pretty universal, that if you're seeing that, stop and take notice.
Well, to me, for those who believe in God, and I do now, that's God directly speaking to you, however you perceive God to be.
Okay. We do have a question here from Betty and Wayne Lange. I'm pretty sure that's Betty down there. So how did your friends and loved ones think about you or your change when you came back?
Well, here goes a down note from my end. They don't speak to me.
Oh wow! I'm sorry.
Came back. No, it's okay. You know what? It's their choice. I get it. Yeah. But when I came back, and now think about this. Now just think about this. When you come back and you've crossed over and you're talking about heaven, and you're talking about God, and my God, the experience that I had on the other side wasn't the man in the cloak and the staff and the white beard and was going to the pearly gates. Mine was energy matter. Mine was solar. Mine was the galaxy. I was having a conversation looking down at Mother Earth and having a conversation with this entity. So when you're having a conversation with someone whose mind is wrapped around Jesus and or God and the cloak and the dagger and the walking across the river, you're not going to change that consciousness. Does that make sense? So when you have family members who don't understand or don't agree, they don't want to talk about it. So from 1987, when I clinically died, until 2007, I was a closet case with all my information on my near-death experience, and I was sneaking around the country as a paranormal investigator. As I told no one. I got caught in 2007.
Got caught.
And I got caught as a paranormal investigator, and my boss called me in and wanted to know if I was this person on television and saw I think it was Mysteries Unexplained or some other show I was doing. I can't remember what it was. And I said, yep. And she said, I had no idea. And she said, so I was about to renew my contract. This is a TV entertainment media company I was working for. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you my resignation. I'm going to give you 1 year's notice, and I'm going to go write a book, and I'm going to continue my paranormal investigator. And I walked away, and I've been doing it ever since. So I get that when people have a problem with this, it took me 20 years to digest, 7 years to digest my near-death experience. So I can't expect anyone here to understand that when someone walks out of your life because of what's happened to you, you know what? Again, it goes back to choice. For me, that's okay. Did I like it? No, but I dealt with it.
Well, it's the same situation. None of my immediate family supports what I do in this realm. None.
Yeah.
Not a one. Not parents, not siblings. My art, they love. I'm making money at it. They love it. They love the fact that people are paying me for paintings.
Yeah.
But my books or this, there's no support whatsoever from my parents or my brothers.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's
just
okay.
Yeah, that's part. And all of you who are listening to this understand. We live in first of all, our TV world, our media world, basically what I call the boo effect. We think of The Conjuring. We think, and now I'm not saying these things are not true, but we are so drilled towards negativity in the paranormal world that we think that everything is evil. And so what I learned, it's not evil, it's stuck energy. And my job is to basically communicate with the energy and help them or assist them to go into the white light. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. Now, before the show, we were talking a little bit about shadow people, and I think that's one of those connotations about shadow people is that they're all evil. And I've experienced a number throughout my life, and there were times where it seemed like I was scaring it, that it was. I walk into a room and boom, shadow goes running across the room, taking off out of there because I just walked in. I've seen others that were just, very curious and they're taking a peek into the room and I turned to look and, they're taking off again. So, I think that this whole connotation about, things like shadow people being evil is like, people are who they are. And I think in the afterlife, they're pretty much the same. So if you're a jerk in life, you're going to be a jerk in death. But if you're a nice person in life, in that other plane of existence, you're also going to be a nice person. So it does drive me nuts. And you're kind of talking about that all these people having this immediate connotation. Oh, it's paranormal. It's immediately evil. It's okay. That sells, but that's not the truth.
Well,
real quick.
Said it real quick. What you just said, it sells. End of story. So if you guys listen to this, conflict sells in the media world, and ghost and scary stuff sells. Okay, I'll hush. Now you go right ahead, Vanessa.
So real quick, it just hit me, and I don't want to lose it. Mike, we need a new shirt.
Okay,
and
what is it?
To say, to shadow people, I'm the boogeyman.
Nice.
And then your signature underneath it. That needs to happen.
There you go.
Everybody in chat's going to be on board. You know that shit, right?
Probably.
And one last thing, and then I'm going to shut up. Peter, chew on this one for a minute. I told you my birthday earlier, right? My number, my birthday, all of that put together for the numerology is a 9.
Okay. Now,
the number.
Go ahead.
The number that follows me everywhere is 546, which broken down is 6.
Yeah, it's a 15-6.
Yeah.
It's really important. And you need to figure out, too, on your birthday, is it an 18-9? Is it a 9? Because each number, as I said, we have what we call karmic numbers. You've heard the number 13. Everyone goes, oh, my God, the number 13. We think of this.
Day.
Yeah, we think of the 16-7, which is the falling tower in the tarot cards. Okay, so you need to figure out, because your number is not going to just be a 9; it's
Yeah.
going to be an 18-9 or 36-9, or what we call the creative concord, the 369, and that means the artistic number, which I have a funny feeling that's your number, the 369, the 36/9. So
You're gonna have to tell me or not. I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, so as I said, so each number represents something. And what I do is, like I said, each person's chart that I do is basically their mathematical code, their Akashic record. And so when I'm doing their particular chart, I'm looking at everything. So an example, like the first letter off of Mike's name is M. It is usually, we think of Virgo, because M is the worker. They analyze, they put together things. So there's going to be a lot of Virgo in your chart. The I is the what we call the investigator. The mind has to know information. The K is about peace. I need peaceful surroundings. I need peaceful relationships. And the E is the I really need. You're not here to be in a cubicle as an accountant. You need to be doing something that is pretty out there. You know what I'm saying?
This is true. This is true.
And then the R is, I need a show that represents people of all sizes and ages and ethnicities and cultures and backgrounds. Do you see how I'm doing that? Go down the line. The C is about how I communicate. And the C, basically, in your name, you have an amazing voice. So your voice really has the capability of healing people. So you see how I'm doing that? And then you add all that up, and you have another prognosis.
That's amazing. I'm done.
Well, Peter, you need to send me on Facebook. Send me how much you charge for one of those, because I want to get it done.
Well, let me ask you this. So what information do you pick up on yourself? Because as a Pisces right now, as I said, right now, Pisces, Cancers, and Scorpio, this is our year to do something amazing, because
it's been going well. Yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter's the planet of expansion. So here's for all you water signs out there, and also the Sagittarius, and also the Aries and Taurus. This is your year to make things happen. We have between now and November the 18th to concentrate on what is your mission, what do you want to do, what's your life purpose. Because while Jupiter is in your chart, it's in the house of career for many of us, you kind of map out what I call your blueprint and make things happen. And then you add the fact that Venus is in our chart, and it hits our relationship. So if something is not working in a relationship, is it time to let it go? Because the planet Venus wants to bring in something much better. So
that would be nice.
Well, you're going to need to get out of Oklahoma, girl.
Oh.
Hey, I'm trying. I am. I'll be in Chicago. I'm in an art auction in Chicago in September.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
A huge one. So I'm getting the fuck out of here.
No, I like Oklahoma. I just like the West Coast. That's, all the witchy woo people are out here on the West Coast.
Witchy woo. Hey, we have and speaking of t-shirts, we do have a t-shirt that says "I'm into witchy shit."
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, hey, yeah. Peter, we do have a question here from Fran Molino. How do you become more in tune with numbers? I feel like I have none.
Oh gosh, how do I become more in tune, or how do you become?
How does a person become more in tune with numbers?
Well, first of all, I guess what you can do if you really want to know about being more in line with your numbers is go get a numerology reading, because then what's going to happen if you've got a good numerologist, they're going to give you your life code. In other words, you take your birthday, whatever that say is 3/12/1991, you add that up, that is your particular vibrational code. And the numerologist or the astrologer, because I do both, will explain to you what that means. And so for me, learn your basic number. Go into and just, I think, what's her name? Christine Lauer, I think is the numerologist. Dusty Bunker. I'm trying to think of some great numerology books. The Romance in Your Name, Dr. Juno Jordan. These are great, wonderful numerologists, and read those books and see if it relates to your aha. And if it does, then do your own chart and see if you resonate to your numbers. Does that help you out?
Do animals have particular numbers?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is the number of a horse?
Well, it's not so much the number of a horse. What you do, you take the horse's birthday, you take the owner, the surname, you add that all up together, and you have a destiny.
Fran is very much a horse person. And I think that she's tied in with the animal that she loves.
Did anyone see the movie Secretariat?
No.
Okay, about a horse, and how the owner who bought this horse had a psychic connection to the horse. They didn't speak; they communicated telepathically.
Hmm.
We do it all the time with our animals. We don't realize that.
I believe
We are
that.
in,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we are in an alpha state. So we come home, our dog or our cat. If we've had a really bad day, the dog or cat knows exactly what's going on with you because they're picking up your frequency.
Mhm.
So
True story.
yeah. So as I said, so imagine if you're coming home at peace all the time and you're in a great space, you can start communicating with your animal. Yeah.
There's mine.
Yeah, Cha-Cha sitting back there on the couch.
Hello.
Hello, Shana.
Just hanging out back there. Oh, ears perked up. Yep.
I know.
Hopefully this answered your question, Fran. I'm sorry if I rambled back and forth here and there, but and I have a lot of information. I had a lot of coffee, so I'm ready to climb the roof and go clean your house.
Still got my coffee going on here. Yep.
No, she completely agreed with the horse thing. Fran's followed me a while. I've known her a while, and she is straight up. She is just right alongside horses. That
Yeah.
is her spirit animal and what really resonates with her. And I think sometimes when we're trying to find out about ourselves, we need to look to what we're drawn to,
Yes.
because that explains so much more about our compassionate or empathic qualities, our levels of anger. How do we handle that? How do we deal with public situations? How are we in private? What are our particular needs? And we overlook ourselves and focus on animals and don't realize that they're like our other half. They're our
Right.
mirror to how we are. And I think that's why she's having a hard time in finding that for herself, because she is connected so strongly to that particular animal. And so she's gonna look into that. She said, yeah, yay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm trying to find other ones. I know we had other ones in here too.
Yeah. Well, Spooky Dawn asked.
Oh, my girl.
Yeah. Anthony, did you see anybody else when you died that you knew? And there's the number 7. I think it was a typo.
Yes. I know.
Okay.
I get your question. My first tunnel that I went through, the first time I went through the tunnel was when I was in the operating room and I was clinically passing on, and they were, trying to jumpstart my heart. And I did see relatives, if that's what your question's about. But the first tunnel was about past lives. I recognized people from the 1800s. I recognized people from the 1700s. I recognized people from the Mayflower. Apparently, I came over, actually not on the Mayflower, but I was a slave named Clarence. I recognized all these people from past lives, and I knew them. And then the second time, it was time for me to go through the tunnel, complete life review, I saw my third grade teacher, who was young and beautiful and happy and not so cranky and not overweight, and I recognized her. So yes, I didn't see my sister. I didn't see any of my immediate family, because by the time I was 20, I lost the majority of my family, my brother, my sister, my father, my uncles and grandparents and all that. But I didn't see them, but I saw other people that I had forgotten about, like someone I played with when I was 5 years old. I had no idea that he had passed. I had no idea that a girl I knew in high school had passed, named Melissa. So when you're seeing all these people and you're not going, who are you? What are you doing? Did you die? Your mind doesn't go there as much as your mind goes, you're in a place of awareness and you accept it. And you don't ask silly questions like, well, God, how come you're a bunch of energy? Why aren't you not dressed in a big old, cloak? You don't do that.
Why are you not floating on a cloud, right?
Yeah, why are you not floating in the cloud? Where are the pearly gates and where's Peter? You just don't do that because your mind is intelligent.
Why are you not knocking when paranormal investigators ask you to?
Yeah.
You bastard.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that, about how you think it works there. Obviously you believe in reincarnation. So we go someplace for a little while, and you're talking about seeing these different people that had already passed. So let's say you do pass. Where do you go for apparently a little while before you end up back in this life? How do you think that works?
Well, that's why I said I went to a place called Bordeaux. the cleansing station. Catholics, and I don't like to use limbo or purgatory because that brings in this whole biblical passage of, and then I had one guy saying there's no such thing as purgatory, it's not in the Bible, and I thought the Catholic Church talks a lot about this. I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, yes, there is a place called purgatory. There is a place called limbo. It's the same thing. And it's like this cleansing station where you go there and you get a life review and you see all the things that you've done, from the smallest little deeds that no one knows about other than yourself, and everything is a matrix. Everything was recorded, and you get a chance to basically just decide, you know what? I could have shined here, and I wasn't perfect here, and I didn't help this person out, and I was mean to my mom, and you see all these little things like that. And,
well, let me ask you this: have you seen the movie? It's an old '80s movie, "Defending Your Life."
No,
I love that movie.
Yeah, they have basically you walk in, you're watching your whole life on a screen, and they have like a what is the Hall of Past Lives and all this different stuff.
Yes.
I was just wondering if it was kind of like if you'd seen it, it was kind of like that where you get this opportunity to review your life.
You do get a chance to review your life. It's your life, and you see it all. Here's how it happened: from 0 to 60, from the time I was born to the time I died. And imagine, as I said, from 0 to 60, imagine, they're doing flashbacks on a big movie screen, and you're seeing all these images. Like Jason Bourne is a good example who uses flashback images of his past. And you get the message, and that's what's happening. And then there are times where you get a chance to kind of really go through a review that's very critical, and you spend some time there, like the Christmas Carol, where you see where your life really mattered and how you affected this person. If you had passed on, this person wouldn't be here, here, and here. Every moment we're here on this planet is imperative. We're here to do something amazing. And so many of us take it for granted. And so I go back to the theory of, or the passage of, I couldn't walk. I'm grateful that I can walk. I couldn't see. Every day I get up, I look at the hummingbirds, I look at the clouds, I look at the mountains, and I take that in. And also, coming back, hypersensitive, I smell and I can see and I can hear things that most people cannot. So what I learned on the other side, it's like the senses of the cute senses of a gray wolf in the middle of a snowstorm who's hunting its prey. It's perked up and it's ready and it's attuned to everything. That's how I live my life. I'm attuned to everything.
Now, let me ask you, because I agree as well that we are all here to do something amazing. But let's really simplify that for everybody. Mm-hmm. I think that most people think something amazing has to be something unbelievably huge, when in fact it could be talking to a stranger on the street and your words that you said to them were life-changing.
Absolutely.
Smile when they needed it the most. I mean, that is what is special about our power as people. Is the effect that we have on others, how we see ourselves, how we see the world, and the energy that we put out into it. And it isn't, to be important or life-changing, it doesn't have to be huge. You just have to mean it.
Every day when I get up and do my gratitude walk, my mantra is this: it is my job duty, my obligation, my responsibility to find a complete stranger I know nothing about, and I go and speak to that person. A compliment. And it starts with a compliment. I can tell you this, guys, when you're talking about the paranormal world, I've had more encounters with angels in London, in Times Square, Carnival, Mardi Gras, in places where you think you shouldn't be having an encounter with an angel, because I have decided to slow down the frequency, meaning me being accelerated, and taking the time to talk to the homeless person. Or
in New Orleans especially.
Well, yeah, but you want to know something? There we go back to kindness, taking the time. You never know that the person that you're speaking with could actually be the person that's going to change your life. So I look at, being in the television film industry for so many years, I look at myself as the main character in my particular movie. And all those extras, all those day players, all those main characters in my own personal movie, sometimes that extra in the background may become the day player, may become the main character. And so if you approach it from the perspective of every person in my life that is unfolding at this moment in time is my movie, how am I going to make it a much better movie? And how I do it, I talk to everyone. There's no such thing as a stranger. No such thing as stranger. And it is whether I'm staying in the line at CVS whether I'm on the line with American Express, whatever it is, I try to live the moment as being as kind as I can. And if we can shift consciousness with the little things like that, we wouldn't be in the mess where you are right now.
True
Yeah,
story.
true enough. True enough.
True fucking story right there.
Yeah.
And I curse a lot, but I'm a sweet gal. I mean, but that is what is so important. And the message that we're trying to get out there is that you can't make big changes without the little ones. You just can't. And each individual day, you might do one tiny, itty-bitty, minuscule thing that might mean nothing to you, but it might mean the world to somebody else.
Well, I can tell you this. I won't go too much of the story, but I was traveling on my first book tour. I was in Dallas during the Christmas holidays, and I was there for several weeks. And I would go to work out at the gym, and I'd see this guy, get up the elevator on the 4th level. It's 24-hour fitness, and we go up to the gym. It's this huge gym, and I'd see this guy, and I thought, this guy has to be a model. He has to be an actor. He was a really good-looking guy, but his energy was so dark and sullen. And so on Christmas Eve, I was flying back to Los Angeles. And so he and I were on the elevator, and there's really no one there other than this guy. And so I went up to this guy, and we were side by side in the parking lot. And I said, "Hey, I hope you have a great Christmas, and I hope your life is wonderful, and Merry Christmas, and just wish him a good day." I thought, this is my day to talk to this stranger who I've seen here for 2 weeks, every day up the elevator, every day down the elevator. He turned around and said to me, "You're the first person that's spoken to me since I moved here."
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Listen to this. I was going to go home, and I thought it was time to end my life. I was so sad and so depressed." He just gave me this whole story, basically crying on my shoulder in my car when it's cold outside in this parking lot, telling me this story. When I came back to Dallas the second time of the book tour, he was there at this gym, and he came up to me and thanked me, and there was a smile on his face. He turned his life around. So you never know that your hello, your kindness, your good deed actually is going to help somebody. So take the time and be good, because you never know that you are that person that's going to change that person's moment in life.
Exactly.
Yep. Hey, we have a couple of super chats here. Tom McNicholas, $10 super chat, says this show deserves extra praise. And then Andrew Cox with a follow-up $2 super chat for Tim. That's what he says. So
we love our people.
Yeah. So
you guys,
thanks very much, guys.
Good crew, good people.
We do. We really, really do. We're very happy to have, we call them our Mad Hatters because this is the edge of the rabbit hole. We got a chance to meet a lot of them a couple weeks ago, and it really, really is a great crew. So they are asking, Peter, about, and we're going to get to this anyways, about where they can find your books, your book tour information, and all of that.
Book, Amazon, Keymaster by Peter Anthony, Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I'm now still a 5-star rating, and the book has been in the top 100 twice. Book tour, goodness gracious, I'm going to be in San Francisco, San Jose, Napa Valley, San Diego, OC, Orange County, excuse me, for those who don't know OC. I'm going into all the Hawaiian Islands, and then I'm going into Tennessee and North Carolina. I'm going into Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Chattanooga, and Greenville, Tennessee. Oh my goodness. So as I said, and I'm going to start posting all this stuff on my website, www.theaccidentalprophet.com, which is the name of my next book, which is the sequel to Keymaster. And I'll say this, Keymaster is about my near-death experience. I am Ethan, by the way. And The Accidental Prophet, which is coming out the end of the year, is about my paranormal world and the behind-the-scenes things that happen in the paranormal world that no one tells you about, the truth. And all the different shows I've worked on, from Sightings to Borderline to The Mysteries of Unexplained, A&E. I mean, there's so many different shows I've done, PSP. And you go to my website and look at my video section and see all the different shows I've worked on. I'm very proud of these shows that I have on my website. They're really fascinating shows, each one different. And I'm working on a case right now in Two Bunch Palms with Al Capone, who actually
interesting.
Yes. So I'm active and alive and working on second book. Keymaster, the first book, is doing quite well. It is also about angels and our experience with angels and how they come into our lives for reasons.
Oh, fantastic.
We have people asking if you're going to be in Wichita, Kansas.
I keep trying. This is so funny. I keep trying to get into that part of the country, but you guys, now you talk. Go to Unity Church and get me out there, because light needs to get to the southern states here. We need
Well,
to
I tell
shift.
you,
We need to shift consciousness here this year, folks.
hun,
And-
I live in Oklahoma in the middle of the Bible Belt, and I can assure you, this is how bad it is here. I am a 3-time best-selling author, been in the top 10, all 3 of my books, okay, for like 7 and 8 weeks at a time. I am involved in no paranormal stuff here in Oklahoma, not invited to the Paracon. No one knows anything about me because of where I live. Everything is out of state. Everything I do is out of state.
Here, I'm going to help you with something. I put out to the universe, and this is really important because, I'm in Palm Springs outside of Los Angeles, and basically it's just a small resort town, vacation town. This is my mantra: provide the people, the places, and the situations, and my job is to show up, period. And what I do with this, it's not about the city, it's not about Oakland, because I was in Dallas, but I asked the universe, where do you want me to move? Do you want me to go back to Los Angeles? I had 2 job offers in San Francisco, I had a job offer in Denver, go back to Los Angeles with another job offer. And I came to Palm Springs with no job, nothing. Nothing was here for me. And the voice said, move here. My life took off. So things work according to the time when it's time for you to leave. And apparently what I've learned, and this is when you talk about Oklahoma, I've had more reviews come from Tennessee. And this woman on a farm said to me, I don't have anyone to talk to. So when I read your book, I read it over and over. She said, this is the conversation I'm having with you about the world that I'm living in. So light is where it's supposed to be. And right now your light is in Oklahoma until you're supposed to go somewhere else.
Well, let me tell you, I know that you talk about going to the South, and you've gotten a lot of hate mail.
Right.
In the South. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. And it is, your reception when you go to the South is going to be different than what you expect.
Right.
It is going to be a lot like what you said that woman emailed you. It's what you do have your people there that are going to be so buried in the Bible and in what's been inbred into them for decades. But then you do have a collective there that wants to learn.
Right.
And they want to change, and they want to accept things that have been considered taboo.
Right.
And they're not as bad as it seems.
Well, let me say this to you. If only one person in Chattanooga gets my message, I've done my job.
There you go.
There you go. Well, we are at our hour mark, if you can believe that.
Wow.
It always goes by fast. But it's been a fantastic conversation. And Peter, we really do thank you for coming on the show. It's been very enlightening.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough. As I said, I've done so many different radio interviews across the nation. And I have to say right now, you guys, thumbs up. I'm so, so impressed. And you know what makes this so good for me is you're both so real.
Well,
it's not, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
What you get.
But I've had other interviews where I'm having to write a script, hand it over, and I'm being interviewed by people who don't even know me and haven't read the book and don't know anything about my background. And so I'm talking to the people who basically don't know anything about it. The show is like, oh, dear God, this hour seems like 4 days. Help, help. So you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you so much, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
What an amazing interview. Thank you.
And thank you.
And to your audience, thank you for listening. You took the choice to listen. You guys are great.
Yeah, they are really amazing. We do have to give some shout outs down there, so we'll do that real quick because we do have another show to get to. So after this is Inside the Upside Down, and we're going to be talking about haunted crimes and haunted crime scenes. So that'll be very interesting. So our Super Chat superstars for the evening, B.D. Flint, who had to bow out early because of a migraine, so we hope she heals up quickly. Then Tom McNicholas, Andrew Cox, who doubled up both times. So thank you very much, B.D. Flint, Tom McNicholas, and Andrew Cox. We do want to also thank our chat shenanigator, Shana, for shenanigating the chat, and our Cheshire cat, Donna Gorton, down there. Thank you as well. Then let's let's get to the others here real quick. So B3 Airspace, thank you very much for joining us again. One of our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. Pung Guy Fun Guy. There you are. See, Samuel Hall, thanks for joining us again. Tammy Heitzman says, thank you so much, Peter.
Wow, thank you.
Yep.
They love Jeff.
Candy Orton, yes, also reminded me that we are simulcasting on Beyond the Light Network. So we simulcast, of course, our main gig here is YouTube, but also simulcast out to Beyond the Light Network and then also down on Periscope. Fran Molino, thank you for the questions this evening. Spooky Dawn, yes, thank you as well. Chipper Terry, thank you. Pamela Rainey, thanks again. There's Andrew Cox. Betty and Wayne Lange, thank you as well. For the questions, there's Zippy Davis, another one of our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. Let's see. We also had Cheryl Midkiff. Thanks for joining us again tonight. Bree Jones, thank you as well. M. Labuda 61.
Up.
Yeah, that's good. And Joe Chandler, thank you. Megan Talbert, thanks for joining us again tonight. And there is Jen. Thank you, Jen. Tim Schoen, thank you very much as well. And there's a lot of you in chat tonight. Popular topic. Yeah. Katie Palmer, thanks for joining us again. And then we had, let's see, the Haglin. Hey, how's it going, Haglin? And who else do we have? Scroll.
A buttload of people.
Yeah, there is a lot of chat flying back and forth too. So if we miss you, we do apologize. There's just a lot of you in there. We try to hit as many as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll back down. If you got any last second shout outs, try to get them in. I know there's a little bit of a delay. There's Sean Oldsmith, and Robert Smith was in there, or Robert White, I'm sorry, was in there as well. Our friends from Australia. So that's awesome. Okay. Well, I think, there's Imani Abdallah from Egypt. How's it going?
Wow.
Egypt.
Yep. Yeah, Peter, we get people from all over the world in here, which is
Isn't
fantastic.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
You know, and I have to, your audience, again, thank you, you guys. I mean, you make my job easy because I go back to being turned down all those many years. Mm-hmm. I had a lit agent said, no one will ever listen to what you have to say because you have this horrible Texas accent. And she said, who's going to listen to about numerology? So that shows to go, y'all. The experts don't know everything.
That's right.
True story.
All right.
So let's see. Sharon Lane, Connie Crane, Greg Renkin, and then Little Dora Lisa. So we got you guys in there at the end. Thank you very much. Peter, again, thank you for coming. We'll have to bring you back again another time because this was fantastic. So,
thank you, right. Both of you. God bless.
All right, we'll see the rest of you here in a little bit when we switch over to Inside the Upside Down. See you in a few.
Mwah.